Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will understand exercise 3.3 of chapter Understanding Quadrilaterals. So the first question is, given a parallelogram ABCD, complete each statement along with the definition or property used. So in introduction part video, we have discussed all the properties of a parallelogram. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral in which the opposite sides, they are parallel as well as they are equal. Then we have discussed that the opposite angles of the parallelogram, they are equal. That is, angle A equals to angle C, angle B is equals to angle D. Then we have discussed that the adjacent angles of the parallelogram, they are supplementary. That is, angle A plus angle B is 180 degree, angle B plus angle C 180 degree, so on. Then we have discussed that the diagonals of the parallelogram, they bisect each other. So based on these properties, we have to see AD is equals to, so AD is this side, AD is equals to BC, AD is equals to BC. And the reason behind that is AD is equals to BC because the opposite sides of the parallelogram, they are equal and parallel. Okay, you can write parallel as well, but the reason behind AD is equals to BC is that the opposite sides of the parallelogram are equal. The second part, angle DCB, that is this angle, is equal to angle DAB. Angle DCB is equals to angle DAB. Why? Because the opposite angles of the parallelogram, they are also equal. So the reason is the opposite angles of the parallelogram are equal. Third part is OC. So what is OC? OC is the diagonal, half of the diagonal AC. So OC is equals to OA. Why? Because the diagonals of the parallelogram bisect each other. Diagonals of parallelogram, they bisect each other. That is, OC is equals to OA. And the last part is angle DAB plus angle CDA. That is, angle DAB plus angle CDA. That is, this angle plus this angle, they both are equal to 180 degrees. Angle DAB plus angle CDA is equals to 180 degree. Why? We have discussed it that the adjacent angles of the parallelogram, they are supplementary. That is, they add up to get 180 degree. So this is the question number 1. Let's move on to the second question, which is, consider the following parallelograms and find the value of x, y and z. So this is the first part. Firstly, we will find the values of x, y, z using the properties of a parallelogram. Okay. So here is the parallelogram A, B, C, D, and we know the property of a parallelogram, that is, the opposite angles of the parallelogram are equal. So angle Y will be equal to 100 degrees. Why? Because the opposite angles of the parallelogram, they are equal. Okay. Next, angle Z is equals to angle X. Angle Z will be equal to angle X. Similar reason, opposite angles of the parallelogram are equal. And now we have also discussed that is the adjacent angles of the parallelogram, they are supplementary. Okay? You can take either angle X plus 100 degrees equals to 180 degree, or you can take Z plus 100 degree equal to 180 degree. So let's take angle X plus 100 degrees equals to 180 degree because the adjacent angles of the parallelogram, they are supplementary. So x will be equals to 80 degree. Now put the value of x in equation 1. So angle z is equals to angle x. So angle z will be also equals to 80 degree. So angle y is 100 degree, angle z is 80 degree, and angle x is also 80 degree. There is another way to solve this question. Since the parallelogram has a property that the opposite sides, they are parallel and equal. So DC is parallel to AB. Okay, DC is parallel to AB, and this is a transversal, and these are the angles on the same side of a transversal, and they are interior angles, and we know that each pair of interior angles on the same side of the transversal, they are supplementary. So here angle y plus angle z will be is equals to 180 degree. So y plus z is equals to 180 degree, and we already knew the value of y, that is angle y is equals to 100 degree. Okay, because of this property, opposite angles of the parallelogram, they are equal. So angle y is 100 degree. So from here you can also get the value of z, which is 80 degree. So in either way you can solve this question. So let's move on to the second part. So this is a parallelogram, and we know the opposite sides are equal and parallel, so they are parallel. This is a transversal. So angle y will be equal to angle z. Angle y is equals to angle z because of alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. So angle y will be equal to angle z. And we also know that the opposite angles of the parallelogram, they are equal. So angle y will be equal to x also. Opposite angles of parallelogram, they are equal. And we also know that the adjacent angles of the parallelogram are supplementary. So y plus 50 degree is equals to 180 degree. Adjacent angles of parallelogram, they are supplementary. So y will be equal to 130 degree. So you can put the value of y here and here in equation 1 and 2. So putting or substituting the value of y in equation 1 and 2, we get angle z is equals to 130 degree and angle x is equals to 130 degree. Okay. So let's move on to the third part. This is a rhombus, and we know rhombus is a parallelogram whose all sides are equal. And that property of a rhombus is that the diagonals, they bisect each other at 90 degree. Parallelogram don't have this property, but rhombus have. So rhombus is a parallelogram with all sides are of equal length, and the diagonals of the rhombus, they bisect each other at 90 degree. So how can we find the value of x, y and z? So here we can see this side is parallel to this side because a rhombus is a parallelogram with all sides equal. So this side is parallel to this side, and this is a transversal. So angle y will be equal to angle z. Angle y is equals to angle z because of alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. And we also know that the diagonals of the rhombus, they bisect each other at 90 degree. So angle x is 90 degree. Diagonals of rhombus bisect each other at 90 degree. Or you can find it in this way as well. This is angle x and this is 90 degree. Or you can say angle x is equals to 90 degree because vertically opposite angles are equal. angles are equal. So they both are the reasons. You can give either reason. Okay, so we have find the value of x, y, and here this is a triangle and we know the angle sum property for the triangle, that is angle y plus angle x is equals plus 30 degree is equals to 180 degree by angle sum property. So we know the value of x, y plus 90 plus 30 is equals to 180, y plus 120 degree is equal to 180. So y is equals to 60 degree. So now substituting the value of y in equation number 1, we will get the value of z, which is 60 degree. So here we have all the values of x, y and z. Next, fourth part. This is a parallelogram and we know opposite sides of the parallelogram, they are parallel and equal. So they are parallel and this angle will be equal to this angle, that is angle y will be equal to angle z. So angle y is equals to angle z, alternate interior angles. Then we also know that the opposite angles of the parallelogram are equal. So y is equals to 80 degree. Opposite angles of parallelogram, they are equal. So substituting the value of y in equation 1, we get the value of z as 80 degree. And we also know that the adjacent angles of parallelogram are supplementary. So angle x plus 80 degree is equals to 180 degree because the adjacent angles of parallelogram, they are supplementary. So x comes out to be 100 degrees. So the value of x is 100 degree, the value of y is 80 degree and the value of z is also 80 degree. Fifth part. So again we have a parallelogram and we know angle y will be equals to 112 degree because the opposite angles of the parallelogram, they are equal. Okay, so angle y comes out to be 112 degree. So this is a triangle and we know the angle sum property of a triangle. So angle y plus angle x plus 40 degree is equals to 180 degree, angle sum property of a triangle. So 112 degree plus x plus 40 degree is equals to 180 degree. So the value of x comes out to be 180 minus 152 degree, which is 28 degrees. So value of x is 28 degrees. So we have the value of x, we have the value of y. We need to find the value of z. So again, what we can do is these sides, the opposite sides of the parallelogram, they are parallel as well as they are equal. This is a transversal and angle x and angle z, they are alternate interior angles. So they are equal. So angle x is equals to angle z, alternate interior angles. So we have the value of x as 28 degree. So the value of z comes out to be 28 degree. So we have the value of x, y and z. So let's move on to the next question. So the third question is, can a quadrilateral ABCD be parallelogram if first part angle D plus angle B is equals to 180 degree? So since the two angles, they sum up to give 180 degrees, so they must be adjacent angles, okay, for them to be a parallelogram. We know the properties of a parallelogram, that the adjacent angles, they are supplementary. So we have drawn a quadrilateral in this form. Okay, so they have asked, can a quadrilateral ABCD be a parallelogram if this first property holds? So we will say that ABCD can be a parallelogram but need not be a parallelogram. It can be but need not be. So the reason behind this is because only this condition is not sufficient. We need the other conditions too, that is the opposite sides of the parallelogram, opposite sides of that quadrilateral, you can say, they should be equal and parallel. Okay, they should be equal and parallel. Opposite angles should be equal of that quadrilateral, should be equal, that is angle A angle equals to angle D and angle B should be equal to angle C. The adjacent angles, they sum up to give 180 degree, all adjacent angles. Okay, not only angle D plus angle B, all the adjacent angles, they sum up to give 180 degree, and diagonals of the parallelogram, they bisect each other. Only then this quadrilateral can become a parallelogram. The second condition that we have, if AB is equals to DC is equals to 8 centimeter, that is AB is equals to DC is equals to 8 centimeter, but AD is equals to 4 centimeter and BC is equals to 4.4 centimeter. So the two sides, they are equal, but the another two sides, they are not equal. Okay, the two sides are equal, but the another two sides, they are not equal, so they cannot be a parallelogram. Okay, it cannot be a parallelogram as the opposite sides of parallelogram, they should be parallel and equal. They should be parallel and equal. Okay, in this case the parallelogram will be like this: A, B, C and D. Okay, in this case parallelogram will be like this, that is AB and DC, they both are 8 centimeter, but AD is 4 centimeter and BC is 4.4 centimeter. They are not equal. That is the reason it cannot be a parallelogram. Then the third part, angle A 70 degree, angle C 65 degree. So angle A 70 degree, angle C 65 degree. Can it be a parallelogram? No, it cannot be a parallelogram. You can write the same thing. No, it can't be a parallelogram as the opposite angles of the parallelogram should be equal. Okay, the opposite angles of parallelogram should be equal. That is the reason it can't be a parallelogram. So let's move on to the fourth question, which is draw a rough figure of the quadrilateral that is not a parallelogram but has exactly two opposite angles of equal measure. So we have to draw a quadrilateral that is not a parallelogram, but the two opposite angles of exactly two, they have written exactly two opposite angles of the equal measure. So this figure is kite. Kite looks like this. So we have studied all the properties of a kite. Kite is a quadrilateral with the adjacent sides equal. So this side will be equal to this side and this side will be equals to this side. And we also know that the angles opposite to the longer diagonal are equal. So this will be a longer diagonal. Okay, this is a diagonal and this is a diagonal. So the longer diagonal will be this one. So the angles opposite to the longer diagonal, that is this angle and this angle, will be equal. And we also know that the longer diagonal bisects the shorter diagonal. There are the other properties of this kite. But what they have asked us is that the quadrilateral should not be a parallelogram but has exactly two opposite angles of equal measure. So this is a kite figure in which the angles opposite to the longer diagonal, they are of equal measure, and the adjacent sides of the quadrilateral, they are equal, not the opposite sides. Okay, so that figure will be the kite, where let me just name it ABCD is kite, where angle B will be equals to angle D. And it is not a parallelogram because the opposite sides, they are not equal and parallel. Here the adjacent sides, they are equal and equal. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. The measure of two adjacent angles of a parallelogram are in the ratio 3:2. Find the measure of each of the angles of parallelogram. ठीक है. So they have said that the two adjacent angles of a parallelogram in the ratio 3:2. Okay. So let's say we have a parallelogram A, B, C and D. Since they are in ratio 3:2, so we can multiply them with the same quantity. Okay. अगर यहाँ पे x होगा तो यहाँ पे भी x होगा. ठीक है. So 3x 2x हम मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे सेम क्वांटिटी से. सो यू नो रेशियो क्या होता है. सो उन्होंने कहा है कि जो एडजेसेंट एंगल्स है पैरेललोग्राम के, दे आर इन द रेशियो 3:2. सो दैट मीन्स कि अगर एक एंगल मेरा 3x है एंड उसका जो एडजेसेंट एंगल होगा वो क्या होगा 2x. ठीक है. सो दे आर इन रेशियो 3:2 का मतलब क्या है कि अगर एक एंगल मेरा 3x है उसका एडजेसेंट एंगल क्या होगा 2x. सो एंगल A is 3x and angle B will be 2x. And we know the property that the sum of adjacent angles of the parallelogram, they are supplementary. So 3x plus 2x is equals to 180 degree because the adjacent angles of the parallelogram, they are supplementary. So 5x is equals to 180 degree. So x is equals to 36 degree. ठीक है. सो एंगल ए क्या होगा, मेरे पास वैल्यू ऑफ एक्स आ गया कि एक्स क्या है 36 डिग्रीज. सो एंगल ए क्या है मेरा 3x. सो 3 मल्टीप्लाई बाय 36 डिग्री विच इज 108 डिग्री. सो एंगल ए कितना है मेरा पास 108 डिग्रीज. एंड सिमिलरली एंगल बी क्या है 2x. 2 मल्टीप्लाई बाय 36 डिग्रीज विच इज 72 डिग्रीज. सो एंगल बी कितना है मेरे पास 72 डिग्री. एंड उन्होंने क्या कहा है फाइंड मेजर ऑफ ईच ऑफ द एंगल ऑफ पैरेललोग्राम. सो एंगल बी विल बी इक्वल टू एंगल डी एंड एंगल ए इक्वल टू एंगल सी. सो एंगल ए विल बी इक्वल टू एंगल सी एंड एंगल बी विल बी इक्वल टू एंगल डी बिकॉज द ऑपोजिट एंगल्स ऑफ पैरेललोग्राम दे आर इक्वल. सो हमारे पास क्या आ जाएगा एंगल सी इज इक्वल्स टू 108 डिग्री and angle D is equals to 72 degree. So the next question is question number 6. Two adjacent angles of a parallelogram have equal measure. Find the measure of each of the angles of the parallelogram. So again we have a parallelogram A, B. So we have a parallelogram A, B, C, D and they have said that the two adjacent angles of a parallelogram, they have equal measure. So let's say if angle A is x degrees, so angle B will be also x degree. Okay. So angle A is x degree, let angle B is also x degree. And we know that the adjacent angles of parallelogram, they are supplementary. So x plus x is equals to 180 degree. So angle A plus angle B is equals to 180 degree because the adjacent angles of parallelogram, they are supplementary. Okay. So 2x will be equals to 180 degree. So x will be equals to 90 degree. That means angle A is 90 degree and angle B is also 90 degree. And in previous question we have also done that the opposite angles of the parallelogram, they are equal. So angle A will be equals to angle C and angle B will be equal to angle D because the opposite angles of parallelogram, they are equal. So angle C will be also 90 degree and angle D will be also 90 degree. So here we have find all the angles, angle A, angle B, angle C, angle D, they are all equals to 90 degree. So today we have discussed first 6 questions of exercise 3.3. The remaining 6 questions we will discuss in our next video. So if you like this video, so don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.